And so when you have a lot that you're taking on, to avoid the overwhelm and to avoid burnout and put yourself in the best situations for you and your business growth is to be kind of like cherry pick the events you go to. Hey, boss family, it's Kay and Tanner here for another Wednesday Watch. And today we're going to be covering the topic of networking opportunities, do's and don'ts a little bit. So, finding the right networking opportunities for you and your business in a way that's going to serve you and so you can get the most out of each opportunity and avoid the overwhelm of saying yes to too many events. Because I don't know about you, but if you're an entrepreneur, you're trying to like talk about your business, you sometimes are going to multiple events a week. And so we're going to help you avoid some of that overwhelm and find the events that are perfect for you. Welcome, Tanner.
Well, thank you. No, it's a phenomenal topic. I'm excited to jump into it. I know you had mentioned having kind of some ideas and some thoughts around what's worked for you. It literally was, it had a one-to-one with an individual from a networking event last week. We were talking about this exact same topic and talking about different things. So I'm excited to dive into this one.
Same here, Tanner. I think it's one of those things that, especially in today's day and age, when our time is taken up by a lot of things, there's a lot of moving parts, and just being a business owner, juggling all the hats. I always say, because you're not wearing them, you're juggling them some days. And so when you have a lot that you're taking on, to avoid the overwhelm and to avoid burnout, and put yourself in the best situations for you and your business growth, is to be kind of like cherry pick the events you go to. And this may take some finesse. It may take, putting yourself out there to a wide variety of things at first and then seeing what works. So there's, starting out, sometimes you have to start by testing the waters, see what kind of people are going, what kind of events people are going to. And then also you can do some research when you're looking at networking events. You can research the event itself. You can, a few things I like to do for that is, I mean, yeah, just starting off is if you're looking for networking, you're putting yourself out there, you know your elevator pitch, you know who you are as a business, and you know your client, then you can really fine tune what you're going to. Because if, say, you have a business in the tech field, right? You're you have a tech business, and you see a lineup of different events you could attend, and there's, say, three of them here in Austin, Texas on a Tuesday. Well, finding the right one that's the right fit, like, look at the attendees, look at who's going. You can look at their LinkedIn if that guest list is available. You can also just, like, contact the organizer if you're really curious, or just even simply reading about the description, whether, like, if it's on an Eventbrite or Posh VIP or wherever, you can read a little bit about what to expect. Because if say you're a tech industry person, and you see an event for like wellness, music, and creativity, then you're like, oh, which one is going to fit me? You kind of have to pick and choose. But if you find something that's really tech oriented, then that's maybe where your client's going to be. And so picking and choosing the ones that fit you the best, but also be open minded to, if you do have time or bandwidth or want to check something else out that's new, that's okay too. You don't have to just like cookie cutter yourself there, but you can start with one, and then as you build that capacity to take on more events, or if you want to take on more events, then you can add more on. But know that it's out there to research. You don't have to go to everything. You can cherry pick what you want.
It's when we talk about just marketing in general, the first thing is who is your target audience? You mentioned, you alluded to that already, right? You have to identify who it is that you actually are best serving, right? Who is that person, that individual that you're looking to serve? And then the next question is, where can we find them in the highest concentrations? And that's really where this conversation really unfolds. Um, Networking events, you may find that some networking events have a very dense population of your target market, and other ones may have a more sparse composition of kind of your target market. You can find your target market in both, but which one is going to give you the biggest opportunity, the biggest kind of bang for the buck on your time and investment? So this entire conversation is prefaced that first we assume that you understand your target market. Once we have that, then we can kind of dive into this piece. And it's different if you're business to business versus business to consumer. It's different depending on who the decision makers are that you're having conversation with. So I'll give you just some real life examples. And this kind of came out of the conversation I was talking to the business owner last week. And, if I'm in a business and the decision makers, and I'm business to business, let's go B2B here for a minute. And I'm looking to, the decision makers that I need to connect with are business development reps. They are middle management. They are VPs. They're of that realm. Then going to more traditional networking events, chamber events, things like that, may be a really good fit. And you might see a lot of those types of folks at those particular types of networking events. Now, if I'm B2B and I need to talk to the owner of the business, well, now we have to ask the question of what size business. So if I'm running a business that's, kind of your traditional smaller mom and pop business, probably doing less than 1 million in revenue, uh, smaller end of the scale, you might find those owners out at those same networking events, at chamber events, at things like BNI or Network in Action, or all these other great groups out there. Um, but as the business grows and you start talking about, well, I need to talk to the owner of a $3 million business, a $5 million a year business, a $10 million a year business. Well, those businesses have grown enough that they have a team of middle management and business development folks and things like that that tend to go to the networking events on their behalf. So now we're not going to find those people at those networking events. Now we have to look for a different place to kind of fish for our target market.
Mhm.
And a great example that kind of came up was like, well, how do I get in front of business owners at $10 million a year businesses? Well, where do they spend their time? Well, they tend to have, a greater portion of them tend to start getting involved in their community, in charity things, in like if you start going to galas or you start going to fundraisers, you start going to those types of things, or getting on various nonprofit boards and things like that, you're going to start rubbing shoulders with those that have kind of moved up to that next level in their business, and all of a sudden you're networking in that realm.
Mhm.
Right. So there's a lot of different ways that you can start looking at it, but it goes back to who is that target market, and realistically, based on that target market, where are they spending a lot of their times? Like,
Mhm.
again, you could take that higher end. This can be business to consumer too. This doesn't even have to be um, business to business, but let's just say more affluent people in general. So I'm going after, we can kind of take I'm not a golfer, so I don't know if this is still like a thing today, but I remember growing up, the country club was a big deal. And,
Mhm.
a lot of the more well-to-do families and things like that would go out and they'd spend time at the country club and all sorts of that thing. So if you join the country club, all of a sudden you're around those types of people again. So it's just different ways to look at it. And I know that in your industry, I'm sure you've got some similar examples of like where does your target market spend their time? What time of day do they spend, at these types of events and things like that? So I'll let you talk a little bit about it, but it goes to show that depending on the target market, where you choose to fish should change a little bit based on who you want to attract.
Oh, Tanner, that's such a great point, and I love how you kind of articulated that and then kind of piggybacking off of that. Yes, it's really understanding your audience, really understanding your business. Because like when I first started my business, which is I throw events and I'm in nightlife and I work with a lot of DJs and artists. And so when I was going to, traditional places for networking, it wasn't resonating quite right. I think people were curious about it, but there wasn't really any next steps. And what I was looking for was, well, I want to partner with artists. I want to partner with venues and different. So those folks are. I'm shaking hands at 2 in the morning sometimes at a music event, and I've had to shift my life and my thoughts and how I do business because that's where my people are and that's where you really own who you are in your business and like where are your folks at. And yeah, mine are, I had for example, recently I went to just a basic music event here in downtown Austin I knew quite a few people there. Well, I shook hands with 3 people, and I call it like planting those seeds, planting those seeds about what I do, because that way I can find potential partners to partner on an event. Or maybe I meet an artist who's really, really talented and would love to play an event, and they send me their mix, and then I can book them and get them on the lineup. And so really, that's so important, looking at where do you want your business to go? Who do you want to connect with? And sometimes it's traditional, sometimes it's a little more untraditional, sometimes it's something in the middle. But yeah, really fine tune to where you want to be seen, and where you can plant those good seeds and make those valuable connections.
I think it's important to also like recognize and understand that there's a difference between going to networking events to network and look for potential customers or clients, versus I'm going to a networking event that I'm going to see the same people over and over again, and it's more of a strategic partner group. So I think of the things like BNI. I'm a part of Network in Action. That's kind of the group that I've chosen to be a part of. But it's the same people that we see over and over. Yes, there's some guests and there's some new faces and things like that. But generally speaking, the intention isn't I'm going to a networking event to see how many people that I can turn into customers. I'm going into that networking event with the same people over and over to build relationship, to help understand what they do, and so that they understand what I do, and we actually can start to refer business back and forth. Or hey, you need to meet this person, or hey, you need to meet this person. That's a whole different ball game than going out and just saying I need to go to a bunch of networking events because I need to go find clients. Now it's a phenomenal strategy as well. They're just different, and I think it's important to kind of understand and note that. Um, we've talked about it from a how do we hire people to go do networking? Well, we could do hire somebody to be more of a strategic partner networker that is
Mhm.
long-term relationship building. Or if you're going to hire somebody for straight networking, it's well, you're going to 3 or 4 networking events a day, every single day, and your goal is to get leads. At the end of the day, that's what it is. So from a business perspective, if you're running a business, you're looking at how do I use these strategies? How do I start hiring people to do it? You got to look at what's the methodology that works the best for your business. Is it more strategic partner group type stuff? Is it more I just need to go out and be out there and look for people that I can do business with? Both can work, but they require slightly different strategies.
Yes, that is very true. When you talk about like relationship building, and like that's your kind of your home base community, and those are those folks who you're going to help each other grow, you're going to connect one another. And yeah, I have a group like that too, and we really help each other through we talk through everything. We talk through marketing pursuits, we talk through, just different things. How can we help each other grow in the artistry of and music in general?
Mm,
And build connections and collaborations there. So I think that's a huge, huge component of networking. It's like sometimes you're going to meet people, and sometimes you're going to strategize with those people that lift you up, that you lift up, that you build those strong bonds with, and you want to continue to build. So yeah,
absolutely.
putting yourself in the right places at the right times.
Yes, and before we kind of start to wrap up, the other piece that I'll just kind of hit on because I think this might be timely for a lot of you out there, and it's what do you say no to, right? To leverage the most of your time, you can't go to every single event. How do you do it? Sometimes it is I say no, but I hire somebody else and they're going to go do it. Other times it's I just have to make the best decision on what I can actually do.
Mhm.
And for all of you that need permission out there, it's okay to say no. I was thinking about this a lot over the weekend because I've got 100 different things going through my head, and like I want to do I know that all these 100 things are really important to do in our business. We just can't do it in the next month. It's just not
Mm.
feasible. So it becomes a prioritization and selection of which are the ones that are going to have the biggest impact today and are most important today. Not the other stuff isn't important, but it's just not the thing that we need to do today. And that can be very difficult to make that choice and say, no, I'm not going to do this, not yet. We're going to put it in the parking lot. We'll come back to it. But if you need kind of that extra permission, it's okay to say no. To make a decision means to kill off. I think the root word decadere or something like that is like it actually means to kill off, and it's to remove those alternatives and choose the things that are most important to you. So just make that choice, decide on kind of the things that are most impactful, and it is okay to say no.
Oh, that is such a great piece of advice. Yes, give yourself a lot of grace, especially when you're putting yourself out there with a new business. It's easy to want to say yes to everything, but yeah, it's okay to say no. And so thank you, Tanner. This has been a very insightful Wednesday watch. Thank you guys for tuning in.